Hello students. Today we will discuss about the third part of the chapter Money and Credit. In this we will discuss about the different sources of credit and what are the advantages, limitations of them and how are they beneficial. As we can see, there are different sources of credit which the individual or organization who grants loan to them. For example, banks, cooperatives, family members, friends, traders, money lenders, etc. And here you can see a pie chart in which they are telling the maximum loan or credit is taken from which sources and then up till the minimum. Here as you can see, the maximum credit is taken from money lenders, especially in the rural areas. Then you can also see the formal sources like the cooperative societies and cooperative banks, from which basically the formal sources of credit are there in the urban areas that is being taken. First we talk about the different sectors of credit arrangements. All these sources are basically divided into two. First is formal, under which comes the banks and the cooperatives. Then is the informal, under which comes the money lenders, traders, relatives and friends. There is a supervisor for the formal sources of credit, that is the Reserve Bank of India, or popularly called as RBI. There are some functions of the RBI. The first one, it supervises the functioning of the formal sources. Second, it monitors the banks in actually maintaining the cash balance. Third, it also sees that banks give loans not only to the profit-making businesses and traders, but also to small cultivators, small-scale industries, small borrowers, etc. The banks, they have to submit information to the RBI periodically on how much they are lending loan to the people to whom they are giving the loan and at what interest rate they are giving them. Then comes the different advantages and the limitations of the formal sources of credit. First we talk about the advantages. First, low rate of interest is there. Second, adopt judicious policy to recovery of the loan. Third, grants loans only for productive purpose and chances of falling in debt trap is less. Fourth, helps the borrowers for effective utilization of loan amount and promote development. Fifth, interest rate is fixed considering the prevailing market and economic conditions. Then comes the limitations. Grants only secured loan. Second, long process and high documentation. Third, less autonomy in utilization of funds. Fourth, difficult to get loan to meet small financial needs. Fifth, located at far from the borrowers, particularly in the rural areas. Then comes the informal sources. In it also the advantages and the limitations of it. When we talk about the advantages of the informal sources, very easy process and instant credit is being given. Second, less or no documentation is required. Third, full or high level of autonomy in utilization of the funds. Fourth, free to fix the loan amount and time and mode of repayment. Fifth, loans are granted to meet all kinds of financial needs. Then comes the limitations. High rate of interest is there. Second, conditions for repayment is different. Third, undue and unnecessary interference in utilization of funds are there. Fourth, unjust and unethical means of recovery of loan. Fifth, mostly grants loan for unproductive purposes. Then the credit in urban areas, basically the poor takes 85% credit from informal sources and only 18% from banks and other formal sources. Whereas the rich takes more than 90% of loan or credit from the formal sources in urban areas. And when it looks that the formal sources of credit are mostly serve the rich people. Then comes the sources of credit in rural areas, generally from the money lender, that is 30%, other informal sources from 18%, like friends, relatives, somebody who knows, etc. Then from the formal sources, that is cooperative societies, only 27% the rural area people take, and from the banks 52% people take in the rural areas. Who gets what? The poor households. The percentage of loan from the formal sector is just 25%. But from the informal sector, you can find it is more over there. Similarly, the households, that is the families, which have few assets, that is almost, you can say, 50-50%. Though in formal sector, it is 47%, and in informal sector, it is 53%. Similarly, the people of the rich family, they basically take the loan from the formal sector. Here you can see near about 72% people, they take the loan from the formal sector, and 28% take from informal sector. Whereas in rich households means a very well-to-do families that have been there, the wealthy sections of the society, they take the loan, 90% of them take the loan from the formal sector, and only 10% takes from the informal sector. The status of lending and borrowing in India. In India, both formal and informal sources of credit is working simultaneously. Major part of the formal sector lending goes to the large industrial sector. Small borrowers, that is the small farmers, labor class and small artisans and businessmen, mostly borrow from the informal sector. Then there are some problems in the informal sector. First, as we did earlier also in the limitations, that high rate of interest. Then the conditions of repayment is very different. Then undue and unnecessary interference in utilization of the fund. Unjust and unethical means of a recovery of a loan. And failure to repay loan amount may lead to loss of property and further deterioration of economic conditions. Then why do the small farmers borrow from informal sector? First point, hesitation to go to the bank. Second, illiteracy, that is the major cause. Third, lack of awareness of the schemes started by the bank. Fourth, lack of collateral. Fifth, borrowing for unproductive purposes. Sixth, poor accessibility to the banks. Then why are the banks not advancing loans to the poor people? The first thing, that is the most important, that the lack of collateral. Second, banks are not available in many rural areas. Third, it looks that banks do not consider the poor people as credit worthy. because off and on they all remain in debt trap. Fourth, poor and ignorant people find it difficult to produce the needed documents. Then what measures can be adopted for the protection in informal sector? First point, increasing the accessibility of formal sector lending by expanding banking network. Second, easy and liberal documentation. Third, flexible loan arrangements which includes the size and duration of the loan. Fourth, reserved and compulsory lending for rural and small scale industries. And fifth, awareness campaign should be there to guide the people. Then here comes the outcomes of the credit. Do credit is always beneficial? If borrowed at a very high rate of interest, it is not. If borrowed money used for unproductive purpose, then it cannot be beneficial. And taking fresh loan to repay the previous loan and fall in debt trap, recovery from which becomes very difficult. Then the role of credit in the development. Credit makes proper use of excess money of the depositors by channelizing it to a profitable investment. Second, enables the borrower to invest more than their resources available with them. Third, maximizes the use of resources by providing working capital. Fifth, helps the lenders to earn interest from their savings. With this, we come to the end of this segment.